Hey folks, so today's behind the scenes look at Tested's video production environment. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, media management. Now, I know this isn't the sexiest of topics, but I think a good solution to this is absolutely crucial in maintaining any kind of sanity in a high volume video environment like we have at Tested. That being said, I think a lot of this stuff is applicable to people at all ends of the video production spectrum, whether you're a professional or a hobbyist. And I also wanted to use this opportunity to talk about a piece of gear I've been testing. This is a Synology DiskStation NAS system that runs its own Linux-based operating system that allows me to access the server and our archives pretty much from anywhere, and also give me just crucial data on the health of our storage drives. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to talk about the whole workflow of media management from start to finish. Now, let's start with the storage that I use for filming. We shoot with the Sony FS5 and the Canon C100, and I've grown to trust the SanDisk 95 megabyte per second Extreme Pro SD cards. Those cards are way fast enough to handle the write speeds on those two cameras, but it's also fast enough to handle RAW on the Blackmagic Pocket or micro cinema camera if I wanted to shoot that way. Lately, I've been shooting redundant media. Those cameras have dual SD slots, and you have the option to make the camera simultaneously record to both SD cards so that you have two copies of the footage at the end of the day. When I'm traveling, I sometimes go one step further and separate those cards into two different areas. I'll put one in the camera bag, and I'll put one in my personal travel bag. That way, if something happens to me and I get a bag taken from me during travel, I still hopefully have one extra copy of all the footage that we shot on this trip, stored away safely that I can access later. Now, the first thing that I do when I return to the edit bay with the media is I make two copies of the cards. One copy of the cards goes to the Synology DiskStation NAS, which I will go over in much more detail in a little bit, but then I make a second copy over to the editing drive that I'll be working off of. In most cases, if I'm at my office editing, it's going to be the Pegasus Promise 4 RAID drive. This is a DAS, a direct attached storage. This doesn't have any operating system like the Synology. It is basically just a drive attached through Thunderbolt to my editing bay, and it has like 4 drives. One is operating as like a redundant RAID set, just for safety. Once I have those two copies of the cards on two different drives, then I will put the cards back into my card holder upside down to tell myself that those cards are okay to delete if I need to wipe them. Then we get to the editing bay and we edit the footage. In this case, you can see it's Adam's one-day build with the C-3PO Chewbacca costume. So after I complete the edit, I'll export out two versions of the video, a ProRes master file and a compressed H.264 version that will be delivered to YouTube. After that's all been done, I'll prepare the project for archiving using Adobe Media's Manager tool to perform what's called trimming. Trimming will essentially collect and copy all of the clips from the timeline to a new location. And in doing so, those new versions of the clips will only be what was used in the timeline. For example, if there's like a 20-minute clip of Adam cutting wood and I only use 30 seconds of it in the project, it'll create a new version of the clip that's only that 30 seconds. What that will do is actually drastically reduce the size of the project. So we're not taking all this extra footage that we didn't use. We'll only take the footage that we need and bring it over, and that project will be accessible later on if we need to repurpose it, re-export it in a different way, add music, take out music, or just add titles or use it for a sizzle reel. So now we get to archiving all this stuff and putting it away in a safe spot, and that is where this piece of gear that I've been testing out comes into play. A couple years back, I was looking for a large storage solution that can be our primary archive, but also give me accessibility from anywhere. If anybody needed a clip, I can access this thing on my phone, my computer, and send them over any version of clips, or I can just kind of check on the health of the system. And a direct attached storage, the DAS won't do that. So I needed a NAS and I needed something with an operating system. So after a bit of research, I found the Synology DiskStation DS1815 Plus for our tested home office for archiving. And we've been using that for the last couple of years. Now at my editing office, I just got the upgraded version, the DS1817 Plus. Now both of these have 8 bays. They're all NAS systems using the Synology DNS operating system, and they're all equipped with the Seagate Iron Wolf hard drives. Mine at the remote office has 8 10 terabyte Seagate Iron Wolf drives. So both the disk stations came set up with the Synology hybrid RAID system with the 1 disk fault tolerance implemented. What that means is that out of the 8 hard drives that I have in the Synology, one of those is allowed to fail without any loss of data through my archive, or I actually still have access to the volume if I wanted to. What that also means though is I'm using only 70 out of the 80 terabytes, so I lose the one drive worth of space in the DiskStation, which is a very small price to pay for that safety in the data. If one of those drives does fail, I'll actually receive an email from the Synology server saying, hey, you have a drive that's dead or damaged, you should replace this immediately. And then I can turn the server off, take the drive out, put a new drive in, bounce into the operating system, hit the repair function to essentially initialize that new drive and reintroduce it into the RAID set. It'll go through a repair process and everything will be back to normal. So that's a good peace of mind to know that I will get the alert via email, I can check on the health through the operating system, and I can replace drives without any loss of data. So actually, let's bounce over to the operating system because it's kind of neat, and I want to show off how we navigate through there and access our stuff. So here is the Synology DiskStation over at the tested home office that I'm accessing remotely, just via web browser. You can see that this one's actually using 8 bays of 3 terabyte hard drives, and everything's running normal. I can see like how much storage percent, how well everything is working, the CPU, RAM, all that, and you can access more widgets, connected users, see who's connected at whatever time, see the logs. There's a ton of different administrative access stuff that I can do that I just haven't really dived into yet since it's such a small team. But essentially, I can make other people, users, be able to log in with limited access to things. So if I just wanted somebody to have access to our backup of podcasts, I can make a user for somebody, give them a URL, and allow them to come in and only access this folder. Now let's bounce over to mine at my office. So here is my Synology. Now, like I said, when you put a new drive in, you go through a repair process. And that's what I'm doing here. I had 8 10 terabyte drives in here and 2 4 terabyte of the Seagate Iron Wolves. And I actually want to replace those 2 4s with 10s. So what I did was I took that drive out, put it in the 10. I popped on the Synology. It said, hey, there's something different here. Do you want us to repair this drive? I said yes, and now that is what's happening here. So you can see this storage info here. It says volume 1 is repairing, and I can get a percentage of how far that's come along. Now this has been running about 4 or 5 hours, so it takes a little while, especially when you have large drives like 10 terabytes. So it's going to take a little bit for the Synology to implement this new drive into this RAID set. And down here you can see the file station, which is just a basic file structure. So we are going to be putting that one-day build project into the tested projects folder, and we're going to be putting the masters into this master folder. Now to do that, I have a couple options. I could just drag and drop through like a Finder window, just to bring up a shared device, and I'll see the Synology, I'll see the file structure, and I could drag and drop the whole folder and it'll transfer over to the network. Or if I wanted to do it a little faster, I can use the USB copy functionality on the Synology. Now the DiskStations have USB 3.0 slots that I can just plug a drive into and transfer data that way. Now to do that, you actually have to go through and set up an event in the USB copy tool. Here you get your options: photo, video import, data export. We want to import data from the external drive. Hit next. We give the task name, just copy source. So we say everything in, let's just use an example here, everything in this Fuji folder. Let's move that over to tested projects. Select, and I hit next. And I can schedule it. I can tell it to eject when it's done, or I can say copy data whenever a USB SD storage is inserted. So if I wanted to make it easy for the guys at the home office to just drop in masters, I can have them designate one drive as like, this is where all your masters go. Once you plug it into the Synology will automatically just copy everything over and eject when it's done. Again, it'll shoot me an email saying, hey, we started this event and now we are done with this event. And then I can let the guys know that it's safe to eject a drive, or they can just grab it the next day if they do it over the weekend or something. So let's take a quick look at the file structure in the Synology operating system. Like I said, I have the projects that I drop all of the trimmed projects in, the masters, which all of the masters will go into. And from here, I can actually right click and you'll see I get tons of different options. I can share, make links, properties about it: delete, move, copy, create folders, all your basic file stuff. System backups. So essentially every Friday or so, I will clone the Mac HD. I will take all of the disks, all of the workstations, and like copy them over to the Synology. So the Synology acts as three main things: hold to the master, just hold to projects, and it backs up everything. And then like a Plex server, just I can actually watch our tested masters on a Plex server, or you can go into the package center, and there's all different sorts of like apps you basically download. So they have their own video station, which is essentially like a Plex server where you can drop in, or you can essentially download the app for your phone and watch your videos on a Plex style interface or Chromecast. But I can do the same thing with Plex, which I do here. And then here's the drives that are set up through the USB. So there's actually quite a few packages that you can download, and they're all kind of set up for what you're doing, like productivity, developer tools, utility, security. Like I said, I have barely scratched the surface of all of this stuff and what it can do. But you get your backup, your Glacier. So eventually all the stuff will go to the cloud, and I can access that through this app. Set of Excel sheets, antivirus, some cloud stuff. There's just a ton of apps that you can just basically install into your DiskStation. So from there, after the Synology is starting to fill up, all those 70 terabytes are getting near the end, I will take all of the files there and copy them to external hard drives. And then I will catalog all those and put those into an Excel sheet, like the master list, basically. I'll have all of our files, all of our masters, all of our compressed H.264 versions, and then all of our projects all listed out, and then the locations of where they live. So if someone's looking for, let's say Fox needs a copy of the Alien Covenant behind the scenes featurettes that we've been doing, I can open up the Excel sheet, do a quick search, see that, okay, that is on drive 14, and it's also in the cloud. So someone at the Tested Home Office can go into the catalog, grab the hard drive labeled 14, dock it in, grab the footage, and send it off. And then we go back and do the whole thing over again: filming, copying, storaging, archiving, etc. I think having a consistent workflow like this for media management that you do every single time is really important, and it'll save you headaches from losing footage, especially when you start dealing with like high-end clients or valuable footage. You don't want to be losing that stuff or scrambling to find it, or as I said, losing it to hard drive failures. So redundancy is great. Always kind of be distrustful of storage. You always want to make sure you have 2 copies hanging around somewhere. The DS1817 Plus that we've been using is fantastic, and it is a beast. It is 8-bay NAS system. Synology does also make like 2 bays and 4 bays if you're looking for just something like photo storage and like a Plex server, for example. You can get a 4-bay and throw in 4 of those Seagate Iron Wolfs 10 terabytes, and you got 30 terabytes to work from for all that stuff. And that's still quite a bit of storage for lower end stuff if you're just a hobbyist, or if you want a Plex server, the 2-bay is great for that. And having that access via web browser to your operating system is really fun. Like I said, though, there's a lot to this that I've barely scratched the surface to. So I definitely am going to dig into the Synology stuff a little bit more. But for archiving, this has been great, and it's been great having access to that remotely, especially for people who need our videos through our parent company or through other clients. So that is it. That is media management. That is Tested's solution to media management. I hope that was entertaining or enlightening in some ways. Everybody should be doing some good media management practices. Thank you guys for watching this, and we will have another Tested behind the scenes video later on. And until then, I will see you guys next time. Bye.